In Microsoft Entra ID, what type of account is typically created for users who are part of your organization? A member account is created for users within the organization. For collaborators outside of your organization, what type of Entra ID account is typically created via an invitation? A guest or external account is created for external collaborators. What is the unique identifier for a user account in an Entra ID environment? The user principal name or UPN makes the user account name unique. By default, the mail nickname for a new Entra ID user is derived from the DES, from user principal name UPN. Under what circumstance might you manually change a user's mail nickname in Entra ID? When a user needs a different name for their email address, such as shortening a name, for example Alexandra to Alex. What action is a user required to take upon their first login with an administrator provided password? The user will be asked to reset their password. According to the zero trust methodology, why might you user account but leave it disabled initially? To enable the account just in time when the user is ready to start, for instance, if their start date is in the future. Why is it recommended to complete as many user properties as possible in Entra ID? These properties are useful for other Entra features such as creating dynamic groups or applying access rules. What critical user property must be set before you can assign licenses to an Entra ID user? The user's location must be set for the user. Why is the user's location a mandatory prerequisite for assigning licenses in Entra ID? Because available features in a license can vary based on the user's geographical location. When inviting an external user in Entra ID, what are the two mandatory fields you must complete? The user's email address and a redirect URL for the invitation. Security measure ensures that an Entra ID invitation is used by an unintended recipient. The invitation link will only work for the specific email address to which it was sent. If a user account is compromised, what two actions should an administrator take immediately in Entra ID? Revoke all active sessions and then disable the user account. What is the purpose of revoking a user's sessions in Entra ID? It breaks any current authenticated sessions the user has active, forcing a re-authentication which will then fail if the account is disabled. After an administrator deletes a user in Entra ID, for how long does the account remain in a recoverable state by default? The account stays in the deleted user's state for 30 days. Where must an administrator go to assign or manage users as this function is no longer available directly in the Entra portal? The Microsoft 365 Admin Center, the URL is admin.microsoft.com. In the M365 Admin Center, what level of granularity is offered when assigning a license to a user? An administrator can switch individual applications or features within on or off for that user. What are the two types of groups that can be created in Microsoft Entra ID? Security groups and Microsoft 365 groups. Which Entra ID group type is designed for collaboration, providing access to shared resources like mailboxes, calendars, and SharePoint sites? Microsoft 365 groups. Which Entra ID group type should be used to manage access for users, devices, and applications to various resources? Security groups. What type of members can be added to a security group in Entra ID? Users, devices, service principals, application identities, and other groups nesting. What is the primary limitation on the membership of a Microsoft 365 group? Only users can be members of a Microsoft 365 group. In Entra ID, the setting that allows a group to be assigned an administrative role is dash once the group is created. Fixed and cannot be changed. What are the three possible membership types for a security group in Entra ID? Assigned, dynamic user, and dynamic device. What does an assigned membership type for an Entra ID group signify? It means that an administrator must manually add members from the group. What does a dynamic membership type for an Entra ID group signify? It means members are automatically added or removed based on rules that evaluate user or device properties. In a dynamic group membership rule, what is the function of the AND operator? The AND operator requires all connected statements to be true for a user or device to become a member. In a dynamic group membership rule, what is the function of the OR operator? The OR operator requires only one of the connected statements to be true for a user or device to become a member. The rule syntax user.department -eq it in a dynamic group query means the user's department property must be -it equal to. Consider the dynamic query user.department -eq it and user.company name -ne fabricum be a member of this group whose department is IT and whose company name is anything other than fabricum. Why is it generally not possible for an administrator to manually add a member to a dynamic group in Entra ID? Membership is controlled exclusively by the predefined dynamic membership rule. Similar to individual users, where are licenses for Entra ID groups managed? Licenses for groups are managed in the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, admin.microsoft.com. What is the primary difference in how member accounts and guest accounts are created in Entra ID? Member accounts are typically created directly, create new user, while guest accounts are created through an invitation process, invite external user. What name appears for user in applications like Microsoft Teams and is distinct from the user principal name? The display name. To what URL would an administrator navigate to manage Entra ID users and groups? The Entra portal, entra.microsoft.com. The process of allowing another group to be a member of a group is known as DAS and is only supported by security groups. Group nesting. What type of Entra ID object represents an application identity and can be a member of a security group? A service principal. A group created with the setting Microsoft Entra roles can be assigned to the group. Enabled is also known as a DAS group. Role assignable. In Entra ID, a DAS is responsible for managing the membership of a specific group, a role that can be delegated by an administrator. Group owner. What would be the effect of the dynamic membership rule user.city-eq London or user.department-eq IT? Any user who is either in the City of London or in the IT department or both will be a member of the group. Why does Microsoft recommend caution when using many OR operators in a single dynamic group rule? Using too many OR operators can make the membership logic complex and difficult to manage, as each OR introduces a completely new condition for membership.